Hi YouTube. Thank you so much for watching my video. I wanted to make a quick video about what it's been like for me as a transgender woman in South Africa. So, before we start, there are a couple of things you do need to know about South Africa in order to get a general idea of what it's like being trans here. Number one, South Africa, by and large, is one of the most liberal countries in Africa. So already that's a big thumbs up. Our law, our constitution supports transgender and non-gender and non-binary individuals as a whole. Now the thing is, although our laws are very liberal, society is still very conservative. What you guys need to understand is that South Africa, and especially the Eastern Cape, where I'm from, is steeped in culture and religion. So for myself, that had been the biggest obstacle or the biggest hurdle to overcome, and just dealing with people's cultural beliefs and their religious beliefs and the intolerance that sometimes came from that. So, yes, South Africa is very liberal, but we also have, we have a lot of acts of violence towards the LGBT community as a whole. So I would say it's kind of lukewarm. You never really know how safe you are in South Africa, and you never really know how things are going to go down should an incident come up where you are victimized either at work, at school, or wherever. Now, I started my journey when I was in university. It was in the year 2012, and I had a big group of friends, like a big group of Christian fundamentalist friends. And when I began my journey, I told everyone. I was very, very vocal about my journey, and I made sure that everybody knew before I started. All of my Christian friends were dead set against me transitioning. They told me why it was wrong. They prayed for me. The whole 9 yards. The whole 9 yards. And when I began transitioning, these kids, they literally fasted so that I would stop transitioning. And, for a little bit it did work. I did try to stop, but eventually I had to be true to myself. And in being true to oneself, you do run the risk of losing people. And that was one thing that I didn't really anticipate, or I didn't anticipate how painful it would be to lose people in my life. I had to go through a journey, especially early on in college, where I had to mourn my old life as a male. Okay, so get this straight. I didn't mourn being a male. I hated that. But I had to mourn the people, the relationships, all of the privileges that came with being a man at the time. I had to let go of all of that. Because the thing is, you transition, right? And you give up male privilege. You literally give that up without the hope of getting female privilege. And you sit in this undesignated place where, people don't know what to call you. They don't know what you are. So that was really difficult. It was awful. It really was awful. I was lucky enough that there were people in university that were very, very supportive, and the people who weren't just didn't say anything to me. They just ignored me flat, and they would just speak amongst themselves. So I could deal with that. I could definitely deal with that. But I remember just being so angry. All of the time, I was just mad. And it came from the fact that I was being judged so heavily. People would stare at me all of the time. I couldn't go down the street to go buy myself a loaf of bread without being center of attention. And it was never good attention, you know what I mean? I finished university, or I graduated in the year 2014, and that's when I started working as an online English teacher. And just being in the workplace was really difficult for me as well. On my first day, well, this wasn't my first day, this was the day before I had to start. I came in to sign my contract, and as soon as I walked into the manager's office, she looks at me, and this bitch starts laughing. Like, she starts laughing, and then she excuses herself so she can laugh some more. So, going into that place, I already had my walls up, and I was already kind of like, don't talk to me, leave me alone, I'm just here to work. Looking back, I don't think that was the best way to deal with the situation, but at the time, that was the only thing I knew how to do. I would just go in, I wouldn't really talk to anyone, and I was just so self-protective because I just didn't want to deal with other people's bullshit. The same manager, this bitch, so at a team meeting, or at a team social rather, there was this guy apparently who had seen me and heard me teach one of my lessons. He mentioned to a couple of his friends that he thought that I was really attractive or something. So my manager decides to out me in front of like everyone at the team social. Thank God I was not there. I just found out about it. So she basically told this guy, she's transgender, this, that, and the other. And it was a big joke. And obviously he was mortified. And you deal with stuff like that, especially in South Africa. People sometimes feel like it's their place to tell your story. And I've dealt with that, in other places that I've gone to work. Now, my second job, I moved down to Cape Town because I just felt that it would be more liberal and it would be more accepting. I started working in a call center, and immediately I was center of attention. And that's not me trying to sound conceited, but it was very evident that people were all up in my grill. Now, on this one day, there was one of the girls, I think she was a receptionist. She went and she complained to my team leader about me, and she basically asked, well, what bathroom is she going to use? So my team leader comes up to me, and he told me what that girl had said, and he asked if I'd had the surgery. Well, actually asked if I had a penis, or you know what I mean. And I just told him no, I hadn't had the surgery. So he then told me that he wasn't sure if I was going to be able to use the ladies' restroom, but he wanted to find out with his manager. Now, things like this are a complete invasion of privacy, but they go on. They go on all of the time. Luckily, the manager, had a couple of brain cells, and he was like, no, she is a girl. She can definitely use the ladies' restroom. It's not an issue. Now, because of all of the drama that came from what that girl had said or her complaint, everyone in my team was talking about, the elephant in the room. Is Christabel a guy or a girl, or what's going on? There was even this one guy who was like, no, she is a girl. She's just a really ratchet girl. And the other guy was like, oh, okay, well, whatever it is, I don't want it sitting next to me. Mind you, like, these people who are saying this shit, I would never have given the time of day to. They were not people I was even interested remotely in getting to know. So when I found out about this, I decided, you know what? I need to basically come out and tell people, yes, I'm transgender. So I spoke to my team leader, and I asked him to allow me just 5 minutes after work to speak to everyone. And I stood in front of this huge circle, and I basically told them that, you know, guys, like, I am transgender. It means that I was born in the wrong body, or I was assigned male at birth, but I'm transitioning and working towards becoming a woman. That's what I said. I am a woman now. So that's what I said to them, and it was crazy because I had gone into that experience thinking the worst, believing that, you know, they were going to continue spewing out hatred and ignorance. But because I stood my ground, because I actually voiced out who and what I was, they actually received me pretty well. Like, a couple of the guys came up and they gave me big hugs and they told me how proud they were of me. A couple of people messaged me, and it was great. And I've seen that so many times. So many people have come up to me. There was this one guy, and he's this big, like, rugby player, this white Afrikaans rugby player. At a party, he turned to me and he was like, "So, what the hell? What are you? Are you gay? Are you a drag queen? What's going on?" And I was like, "I'm transgender. I was born male and I'm becoming female." As I was telling him this, he threw his arms around me and he gave me the biggest hug and he told me, "Don't ever let anyone give you shit about who you are." And that's what I want to tell you guys. Like, if you're living here in South Africa and you're dealing with life as we know it, don't let these people give you shit for who you are. You literally are doing the best that you can, given the conditions of your life. Yes, it is a journey. Yes, there are struggles. But you are strong enough to deal with all of them. I know it doesn't feel like that, and it's hard when everyone is criticizing you and judging you and just giving you all of this hell. But look, you're going to go through the fire, you're going to come out stronger, and all of the chains that held you back to your old life as a man or as a woman, they will all fall away and you'll come out refined. Don't worry about it so much. It's going to be okay. Look, I know I'm rambling, but I just want you to know that there is support. Please, please, please contact someone. Join a group. In Cape Town, we have a group called Gender Dynamics. Contact them. In Port Elizabeth, there are a couple of groups. There's one called Outology. Go out and find these people. We're here and we want to help you. Thank you so much for listening to my video. It was more of a rant. I was trying to make it a little bit more positive and self-help, but thank you if you listened. I hope you have a wonderful day.